No, I think it's likely that he would want to leave Chelsea for sure, because I think the project worked for him when he arrived in terms of having that game time in the Premier League and almost established himself and showing all his talent. Great. But now the Chelsea project, as we've discussed before, is not really going in the right direction if you're Cole Palmer and wants to win trophies and everything. The thing is, I'm sure Manchester United is very appealing for him, very attractive. I think he's a United fan too. So that can work. Real Madrid, they can't even find a place for Jude Bellingham right now. They're not going to find a space for Cole Palmer. And the same could be said about Bayern Munich, who have Musiala as a 10 to start with. Gnabry can play as a 10. Leonard Carr can play as a 10. There's no space for Cole Palmer in that Bayern Munich team, and they will never spend that kind of money because they don't have it, full stop, anyway. So I think there might be teams that like him, for sure, managers who would fancy him, but financially, there's not many clubs who can sign him. And I'm not even sure Manchester United can spend 150 million on him in the summer anyway. So that might be the best answer of what's next for Cole Palmer, because I think if that's the price, there's nobody right now who will sign him.
That word project is interesting. And I think last time we were on together, I mean, I refuse to do this show unless you're here, Jonathan, to be quite honest.
Quite right.
But we talked about what the point of Chelsea was, and whether winning things was the primary objective, or whether someone somewhere at Chelsea, if they did get that sort of money for Cole Palmer, would slap each other on the back and say, well done, we've made a profit, tick, job done. Yeah,
that's the feeling, and Jules introduced project. It's a perfect word. What we're seeing there is this idea of signing a whole group of sort of future talents and growing them, possibly for profit purposes as much as anything else. The difficulty was always going to be 2 or 3 years down the line, if you haven't started winning and those players have matured and become what you want them to be, how do they feel about it? You know, the top players can't wait. They can't wait forever. And I think Enzo Fernandez set the hair running by mentioning last week, I think, that it might be time for him to move on. And he was one of the, like Palmer, one of the very first that came in. There's talk around Caicedo starting to have similar thoughts. And it's not a surprise Palmer's the next one, because every summer when they sell 13 players and bring in another 9, and the 9-year-old, 20-year-olds, because the value might go up, that's no use to Cole Palmer. You know, that's no use to Enzo Fernandez. It's no use to Moise Caicedo. They know they could be playing in teams that are competing for Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues or other titles. So it feels like this is a bit of a critical point. And the other thing I look at with the Chelsea on that is look at the goalkeeping issues they've got. One of the issues they've got is that they haven't signed proper top-class goalkeepers because they've been focused on the high-ticket value items. If you sign a young midfielder and he's good, you can get a lot of money for them. The goalkeeper market isn't that great, so it seems that there's even business thinking hampering the team there. You know, they haven't been going after brilliant goalkeeping talents because you can't make a profit on goalies particularly.